And she says, I love to do things that will give me temporary comfort, that will make me very uncomfortable somewhere down the road, right? You think about that statement, right? I want to do something that gives me that immediately comfort that I'm looking for. Well, and that's what drink used to do, right, for us. But yet I'll regret or will give me pain somewhere down the road, right? What is that, right? Is that cheating on your spouse? Is that doing, spending more money than you should be spending? And I start to think about, what am I doing? Why am I doing this? Why am I taking this action?
Welcome to the Sober Friends podcast. Curious if you're here, you're probably on a recovery journey or you're a little bit curious about it. But I hear a lot of people say that they miss alcohol. You really miss alcohol, or do you miss that thing that alcohol gives you, that escape? Morning, Steve. What's up?
Good morning, Matt. All good here, I think.
Yeah.
Waiting on this snowstorm, but
yeah, it's going to be an apocalypse.
Supposedly. I think that's a good topic. Is like, what do we miss when we give up alcohol? Right?
Yeah.
I mean, what is it? Is it the alcohol? Is it the effect? Is it the? So yeah, I think there's some things to discuss around that, and this is perfect for these people who are, again, trying to figure out. Do they want to stop drinking? Do they need to stop drinking? What is it going to feel like when they stop drinking? And what is that going to mean? Like, we all went through that. Mm-hmm. Those of us who got sober, we went through that as part of our recovery, trying to figure all that out. So I think it's a good topic, something to kick around a little bit this morning.
I think this is also what causes relapse early on, especially without some type of program. That cold turkey, dry drunk phase, white knuckling it. I remember I had tried that in the past. It was really, I got nothing to replace it. I've removed something, which is the alcohol, but I haven't changed something or put something in its place, and it led to its logical conclusion, which is a relapse.
Yeah.
That's where I had the problem. I remember this back in 2001. I decided I was going to stop drinking. I wasn't going to say I had a problem, but I was going to stop drinking. And I lasted about 10 months. And I just remembered it was a white knuckle thing every single day. Because life didn't change. I'd go to parties where there was alcohol around, and it was hell. But I didn't drink during that time. And I realized after the fact that I went through the 12 steps, it really was the 12 steps that replaced it. Like the old crusty old timers would say, I don't remember how they said it, is like when you go through step 4 and 5, you're removing the files from your head of all that bad stuff. And you can't replace those files unless you get rid of some stuff first, which made a lot of sense. And it made me think back to the times I tried to stop drinking on my own, and I couldn't make it happen.
Yeah, there's a lot of us who come into this program. We've talked about it before, about the people. And I'm guilty of some of this to an extent, is that we do look for things to replace it, right? You hear about that, the newcomer comes in and they talk about how good they feel, that they've gone to the gym 7 days a week now, and they're doing this and doing that. So I think a lot of us, when we come in, we do look to replace our alcohol activity with something else. The thing is, it has to be sustainable, right? You need to find something that's going to be there day in and day out. And I think a lot of us, and me included, you can get caught up in some of those other activities, but a lot of times they burn out. They're like New Year's resolutions, right? You burn out from them, and you don't follow them through. So It is something, and again, I think if you're a newcomer and you're trying to stop, this might be something that you didn't think about. What am I going to do? What am I going to replace this with? And that is where the 12 steps for us come into it. If you read our literature, it's going to tell you that you need to replace it with a spiritual awakening of some type. And that can mean a lot. That doesn't have to mean you go start going to church or the mosque or the synagogue or whatever you choose to do. It does mean that you got to find something inside of you that to change yourself. I remember when I came in. I remember I was beaten down, not physically. The second time, after my relapse, I drank for about 10 months. I wasn't beaten down as physically as I had been the first time, but morally, spiritually, emotionally, I just felt totally spent, empty. Like there was nothing. And I realized that I had to do something to address that. I realized that at that point, like I'm not going to be successful in kicking this alcohol problem until I found something else to do inside of myself, not exercise. That's what I mean, not the exterior stuff of, I was a big runner my whole life. Like literally, that's what I would do. Like I'd start getting in shape and I'd go out for running. And next thing you know, I'd be running 8-10 miles, right? Like I'd be doing that kind of stuff to extremes. Not that. I had to find something internally to change the way I felt, to change the way I looked at life. In order for me to start healing and then to start to figure out what is it about the alcohol. Because there is something about alcohol, right? There's something, yes. First of all, there's something about when you put it inside you, what it does, right? Those first few drinks make you feel calm. You get that warm, fuzzy feeling, which is all true. I get it. I remember those feelings. Those first couple of drinks go down, you're like, ooh, this is nice. And then for us, obviously, it went way past that. So physically, it does that stuff for you. There's also something about holding a drink in a social situation, right? I mean it. Like everybody's doing it around. It's the same thing like AA. We all go there with the same common problem. We all go there. Or if you go to the gym, everybody's at the gym to work out, right? So when you're at a social event or at a bar or whatever it might be, and everybody is standing around holding a drink, you become part of a club.
Yes.
So there's a physical, emotional attachment to just actually holding the drink, never mind drinking the drink. That feels like I like doing this. I like being part of this social setting. Usually a lot of times it starts off with you laughing, meeting up with friends, and doing those type of things. Even if you're an alcoholic, right? I mean, when you first walk in and get that first drink, you start to relax. Oh, I got my drink. So there is something to be said for the physical part of just having a drink in front of you, holding it, and the social setting too, regardless of the alcohol intake and what that does for you also.
That sounds like the ritual. There's a ritual at a social event around having the drink. If you've decided to stop drinking, you are breaking the ritual. That first time I decided to stop drinking, it felt like I was the one outside of the ritual. Everybody else was in it, and it wasn't fair. It was unfair that everybody else was drinking and I wasn't, or I couldn't. And my thought was everybody else should tailor their behavior to me, not the other way around, which was unrealistic. But I never really thought through that social thing, that having a drink in your hand being an actual thing in that moment. I just had something in my head. I had a feeling in my head. I couldn't articulate it.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think that's what separates the AA program from other programs, right? Because we talk about it all the time. There's other programs like you can go out now. Again, we talk about social media. Like I follow a bunch of people who literally work with alcoholics, like therapists and stuff like that, one-on-one to help them stop their drinking. And that's all good. I'm not saying that's not there's anything wrong with that. That's good if that's what works for you. But the nice thing about what you just said, that ritual, right, is that and that you have to replace that ritual with something else. AA immediately gives you something to replace that with, right?
Right.
It immediately gives you the place to go where everybody's doing that same thing, and you have your coffee. And if anybody's been to an AA meeting, you show up early, and you get talking, you walk in. We're all laughing. We're all talking. We're talking about our week. We're talking about whatever we're talking about. And you then have that ritual. And that's the other reason why when I, after many years of sobriety, decide I don't feel like going to a meeting tonight. Mm-hmm. I don't want to go to my Monday night meeting. I don't want to go to my Friday night meeting. I don't want to go here or there. That's why most of the times, almost all the times, I still go. Even when I don't want to go. I always say, I don't take off nights just because I don't want to go. I never say, I don't want to go to this meeting, I'm going to stay home. I always push myself through that feeling and I go. And I always feel better because I step into that ritual, I step into that group, and it makes me comfortable. Just like when I used to show up at the bar or show up at home and I knew that bottle or that first drink was waiting for me, right? I knew it was waiting for me. I knew it was my comfort. And AA gives me that feeling. It gives me that something to replace it with. And that's why I love going to meetings. That's why I love hanging out with my AA friends. And it's just, I get a similar feeling when I walk away. We hear about it all the time. For some reason recently, I've been getting a lot of just dull headaches. And I know it's because I'm not eating as well as I need to be eating. A lot of times I go out to the day, and my wife will say, have you eaten anything today? I'm like, no, not really. Just a little picking here and there. And I get headaches later in the day. And I always, when I go to a meeting, like, oh, man, I don't feel good. I don't feel like going. But when I get amongst those people, when I go to that ritual that I've replaced my drinking ritual with, I feel so much better.
Yeah.
It's like that. It's like that first drink comfort to me. Like, oh, now I know why I come to these meetings. So, again, that's why I do the AA thing, because it gives me that replacement that I need. And it gives me that safety that I need, and then to be around people that are doing the same thing I'm doing.
Steve, you got to take care of yourself.
Yeah,
knock that off with the not eating or pecking, being inconsistent. That's bad.
I'm consistent. I'm just consistently not eating. So, but no, I do have to do that, and I get that. But anyway, that's one of those rabbit hole and tangents that, what was it? Bill told us not. Bill told us not to go down.
No, Bill said go down. It's okay. He likes the rabbit holes.
Oh, he likes the rabbit holes.
Yeah.
So
I'm indulging. I'm indulging Bill from Sober Not Mature. Emphasis on the not mature with those guys.
So that's what that feels like to me. Like I said, that's what the AA group, that's what the AA meetings feel like to me. And it's just, for me, it's a blessing, right? For me, it's a blessing. I had to, we got some new furniture coming in, and I had some furniture I needed to move out of that room, and called up one of the younger AA guys. I should have called up two of them, and we moved it out. And it's just, for me, it's just that nice thing. And then, I'm like, hey, let me treat you to breakfast afterward. Took us all of about 20 minutes to do it. So a couple big pieces. And I'm like, hey, let's go out to breakfast. So again, it was this nice thing to do, right? The two of us. My wife didn't even bother coming along with us. She was welcome. We invited her. And so we did it. And it's just, again, it's that ritual of me replacing, right? Back in the day, as my buddy Frank used to say, back in the day, that would have always circled around drinking. It would have been like, come on over in the afternoon, we'll have a couple beers, we'll move this furniture, and then we'll have a couple more beers or whatever, right? Or we'll go out for a bite to eat, which will be drinking. Like, that's the way it always revolved around that stuff. And today, because I'm sober, because I have a program, because I work the program, because I stay in touch with the program and the fellowship, I do things differently. And just makes my life better.
I would be happy to revolve my life around going out for breakfast. Breakfast might be my favorite meal to go out for. So it piqued my interest there. I'm like, oh, damn.
Yeah.
I love as small as a bagel with an egg sandwich, or as big as like a big breakfast burrito. I would that's the same feeling for me as going out for beer. And I'd rather do the breakfast now with a nice cup of coffee.
I agree.
They're never good cup of coffees at breakfast places. They're tolerable. But the food
they are tolerable. They have to make it palatable to a whole wide range of people. Yeah, so you get a really blah cup of coffee at most restaurants.
That's fine. I'll drink about 12 of them. I'll get my my money's worth out of them.
Yeah, right.
I'm just thinking back to the time where I felt uncomfortable. I would have like a soda or a tonic water or something.
Yeah.
And I remember there was a change where it wasn't the escape anymore in a social situation, that it was okay for me to navigate. I really think it was the beginning of those 12 steps. And I can't speak for other ways to get sober, and I know a lot of stuff bleeds in, but I can tell you the thing that really worked for me, especially early on, was the idea that my life was unmanageable with alcohol in it. And unmanageable means a lot of different things for a lot of different people. That does not mean you're homeless. I think when Bill wrote it, it did. But for now, you think through, if I can't control alcohol, there are a lot of other things in my life I can't control. That's the definition of it's unmanageable and it's insane, and that I needed some outside help to do it. That's where it goes into the higher power thing. I definitely got on my knees early on and prayed, because I was going to do whatever you told me to do so I could get sober. I was going to do those things. And the praying is not the same today. I'm definitely agnostic, but I was bought in. But I still think that higher power there's something outside of me that I need to support me. And that's enough. And then we get into what I thought was the most important thing, and that's steps 4 and 5. Before anything else, those are the most important, because they actually taught me why I was doing this to myself. I was getting to the root of all of those fears. And once I got through that, it became a lot easier in a social situation to hold a glass of alcohol. And it was becoming a lot easier for me to not need to have that escape.
Yeah, you said something like being uncomfortable when you first started holding that tonic. I can remember going out and being uncomfortable ordering just a tonic water or something to try to make it like, hey, can I get a tonic with a twist of lime, right? About as close as I could get to a drink without having a drink. And I remember trying to play that game, trying to be like, oh, I'm in that situation. And I remember how uncomfortable it was for me. I do. I remember like, this doesn't feel right. Like it's like I'm going up to that line, right? Give me the tonic without the gin. I was never a big gin, but I would drink gin. Like, give me the tonic without the gin. Give me the twist of lime in it.
Yep.
So I'm walking up to that line. Typically when I'm ordering that, I am in a bar situation. Usually there's an event going on. I'm not walking into a bar on the street. Usually there's an event going on. I'm with people who are drinking. And I remember trying to do that to fit in, right? To sort of make myself fit in, not that anybody else, but make myself feel like I fit in. And today, I mean, we just had a big reunion last Saturday. We had a big cousin reunion, and like I said, everybody and I think I mentioned this last week, right? People got there and they marched right up to the bar. And I didn't feel the need to do anything like that. I didn't feel the need to have any show and tell, and I was able to go to the bar and order my wife a glass of wine and not have to order myself, and literally go back to the table and, with my wife who was sitting there. And there was a bunch of, not everybody was at the bar. A lot of my cousins really don't drink much. And so we were all just sitting around talking. So, but I do remember feeling that very uncomfortable feeling of being in that situation. And you're right. And until I did work, until I did some real steps and figured out really what was going on, it took me a while to move away from that uncomfortable feeling. And like I said, that's gone today. I don't even think about it. Like I haven't even thought about going up and ordering once in a great while. I'm not a big soda drinker, so it's like I go up and it's like, yeah, what do you got for soda? You know, it's always the same stuff, you know.
Oh,
and it's
I do.
Yeah, I just don't. I'm just not a soda drinker. And so I'm much more comfortable going to the table where we're going to have a bite to eat or something and having my water. I'm a water drinker. So, yeah, no, just keep my water glass filled and I'm good.
I'm good. I'm good with water outside of the social situation, and then it just feels like it's not enough. What is nice for me with a Coke Zero is it's a different flavor than something adult. That's the thing that bothered me is the adult tasting drink feels like it's getting up to the line, but it's distorted. It makes it even more clear to me that I'm not drinking alcohol when I drink something that feels adult. This works for other people, but the mocktail type thing doesn't work for me because it feels just like a perverted version of alcohol in my mind, and it just doesn't feel right. And that's just me, but that's how I feel. So I had to replace. If I was going to replace it, it had to be something entirely different. I had to go a totally different route. With me, definitely the release ended up being a lot of different things. Food, which is the biology thing, which is when you're using a GLP-1 drug, the fact that some of that noise goes away. So I definitely see it with alcohol, that you actually have a biological thing. If definitely you also have a food issue when it comes to alcohol, it is a sign that you have a biological thing in your head and you're fighting biology. Which is why I've come to be okay with the transferable addictions, healthy addictions. I'll give you an example. Getting into gardening or getting into fitness or wanting to read to learn a topic. Think through, if you're transferring it to something else, how much time is it taking up? Does that become destructive? Are you going to the gym for 8 hours? And now you can't do other activities because you're working out all the time. Or I'm in the garden, but I'm spending enormous amounts of money on things for the garden. Does that then become destructive? Or is it like, no, I'm going to set parameters here? And I think that's the key. So be okay. I've become okay with the transferable addiction with the guardrails around it.
Yeah, if you absolutely, if you can go to the gym in a way that's reasonable, right? Just like I said, like anything, right? We talk about, I like to hike, and I certainly have gotten to certain points where, and usually for me, if I'm going to do my hiking, I like to set goals. Like I'll sort of go, I want to hike this mountain, or I want to do this type of hiking, and then I'll work to get in shape to do that kind of hiking. And sometimes that requires me to do a lot more hiking. But I can get a bit crazy with that. Like, I was just telling somebody this the other day. Like, I don't buy a lot of hiking stuff. But for instance, I bought a brand new pair of snowshoes because before my wife had her medical thing where she fell and broke her leg. Last winter, I hiked Mount Greylock in February. I soloed it in the winter. It was winter. It was thing, and I had snowshoes with me. I didn't use my. I borrowed my son's snowshoes, which are for hiking snowshoes. They're not, like just going out play snowshoes. So I finally went out and bought myself a pair, and they're not cheap snowshoes. Like these are specific for hiking and hiking in mountains and stuff like that. They're not cheap, and I was able to do it because of different things, some credit card points and stuff like that. They were on sale, so I was able to get a good deal. But even at a good deal, they were several $100s. And I think to myself, am I going to use these? Am I not going to use these? Because right now I'm not hiking in the winter because still we're dealing with my wife. But I want to be able to do it, right? I want to be able to have that outlet, right? And I want to be able to have something to look forward to. So I did. So I went out and bought them. They're hanging in my garage. We're supposed to get, the nice thing is we're supposed to get a foot of snow up here in Connecticut today.
Yep.
And I back up to a bunch of woods, and I won't be out there mountain climbing with them, but I could be out there playing with them, breaking them in, see how they feel, right? And that's my plan. Like tomorrow, Tuesday, throw on my snowshoes and then go out in the woods and see how they feel and get used to using them. So I do like to replace some of that stuff myself with that healthy replacement.
Yes.
But I am an addict and alcoholic, and I like to overdo everything. And again, that's me, but I like to overdo everything. There's a woman who goes to my Wednesday noon meeting, and she says something all the time that really has started to resonate me. She's like, she's got like over 3 decades of sobriety.
Oh, wow.
And she says, I love to do things that will give me temporary comfort, that will make me very uncomfortable somewhere down the road, right? You think about that statement, right? I want to do something that gives me that immediately comfort that I'm looking for. Well, and that's what drink used to do, right, for us.
Yep.
But yet I'll regret or will give me pain somewhere down the road, right? What is that, right? Is that cheating on your spouse? Is that doing, spending more money than you should be spending? Those type of things, right? That she says she's always got to guard against herself. What am I thinking? What am I doing? Am I trying to do this for temporary comfort? And it's something I'm going to regret down the line. And that is something that has started to resonate with me. And I start to think about, what am I doing? Why am I doing this? Why am I taking this action? And again, I always have to look. That's why I talk about, like, I'll always be an alcoholic. I'll always have to work on myself. I guess I will until I won't. Because those things they're always there for me. They're always there. Like, I'm still looking for things that make me feel good. And that includes, like, I love hiking. I love when I hike. Like, I love getting to the top of a mountain. I don't always love the journey up the mountain, but I love when I get up there and it makes me feel like, oh, I can't wait to do this again. And I can substitute that for a lot of things. And I can substitute bad behaviors, for that also. So for me, that's why I work the program I do.
Yep.
I work the program. That's why I do the service work. That's why so much of what I do is me interacting with other alcoholics who are working the AA program, right? Because that's what I work. It's really important for me to stay in touch with those people so that I could keep checking myself. When I hear this woman share that, that's how I learn. I go, ooh, I need to check myself for that behavior, right? That's the beauty of our program, is she shares it, and then I go, ooh, can I use that information? And I have a choice if I want to take that information and use it, or if I just want to discard it and not, and ignore it.
That's some deep stuff. You have to really get into some good place of recovery to get to a place of, let me think this through, what the temporary relief is going to be. I know that temporary relief will work. What are the ripples down the line? Because you're not thinking about that in an active addiction. You can't think past that. You're in such a place of pain, whether you know it or not. You can only think through, I need to get rid of this pain now. And then you don't think about how that causes problems down the line. If you are in that place where, like, wait a second, I'm thinking this through. What is this going to cause me later? What's the cost going to be? That's a place of pretty good recovery, because it's not, if you think, gosh, I'm failing at this because I'm still thinking about the relief aspect, you're not. You're successful if, like, still feel like I want this recovery, this relief, but if I do this, what's going to happen? That's a good place, and that's really enough. All right, this is where I want to hear from you. SoberFriendsPod.com, where you can read, try to do every week, sometimes it's every other week, an article about recovery. Matt at Sober Friends Pod, or on the socials at Sober Friends Pod. Don't get crushed by the snow today, Steve. It's okay, Snowmageddon.
Yeah, I'm actually looking forward to it. It's really coming down right now.
Yep.
I got my big snowblower out. I'm all ready for it.
Yep.
I'm just going to sit back and watch it snow, take the dog for a walk sometime this morning, and watch some football today, and then get up tomorrow and we'll clean it all up.
That's right.
All right, Matt.
All right, I'll talk to you later. Bye, everybody.
I want to fight you. But you don't have the courage. You're a real crumb bum.
You're a crumb creep coward. I want to fight you. But you don't have the courage. You're a real crumb bum.
A real crumb bum.
Put that on camera. You're a creep. Get away from me.
Get away from me.
I was a cop all my life, and I know a lush when I see one. I wanna fight you. I wanna fight you. I wanna fight you. Yeah.
I'll break it over your head. Get away from me, you crumb.
There is a
You're
winner
a
here.
crumb creep coward.